New update, AITA for snapping at my parents for treating me more like a second mom than their daughter. My parents divorced when I was 6. After that, my mom remarried and had 2 more kids, while my dad has a daughter with his current girlfriend. At a recent family gathering, I ended up watching the kids. My dad then commented that I, as an older sister, is like a second mother, implying I'd always need to care for everyone. I felt frustrated and unfair, and then told my parents they never treated me like a daughter. Original story, I-23. FM, the oldest of 3 siblings. My parents divorced when I was 6, and both of them moved on. My mom remarried, had 2 kids, then divorced again. My dad has a daughter with his current girlfriend. We're a big mixed family, and we actually all get along pretty well. I love my siblings, and I help with them a lot, especially when we have family gatherings. But lately, it feels like I'm expected to do everything. My parents only really talk to me when they want something. Now, I'm 3 months pregnant with my fiance, and 2 weeks ago we had a family gathering. Like usual, I ended up watching all the kids. I didn't mind much until after dinner. I sat down with a brownie sundae when my little sister, one of my mom's kids, asked for a bite. I gave her some, but then she kept asking for more, and I ended up giving her most of it. My fiance said, "Okay, now leave your big sister some." And my dad responded with something like, "You should realize an older sister is like a second mother, and that won't change even when she has her own kids." That hurt a little. I had really wanted that dessert, but I gave it up for my sister anyway. And hearing my dad basically say that I'll always be expected to take care of everyone, even when I have my own baby, just hurt. My fiance tried to brush it off and went to see if there was still some left, but my parents got defensive and started listing all the things an older sister should expected to do. I snapped and told them they've never really treated me like a daughter, just someone who's expected to help out all the time. I immediately regretted it and apologized, but my mom grabbed my sister and didn't talk to me for the rest of the night. My dad didn't say anything, but now he barely responds to my texts. I'm worried I messed up my relationship with my parents and siblings. Did I overreact, or how do I fix this? Update. Thanks to everyone who commented and offered support. It really meant a lot. I wanted to give an update on what's happened since. 2 days ago, my dad called and said he was going to visit, but then changed his mind and asked if we could meet somewhere instead. When I showed up, my mom was with him. Not sure why he didn't mention that. My dad actually tried to listen and understand me, but my mom didn't really let me get my point across. It was so hard to explain how I've been feeling recently and how it's been like this for years. I was only 9 when my first sibling was born. He's 14 now, and I honestly can't remember if I've been able to act like their daughter since then. Every time I tried to explain how draining this has been, my mom would jump in with, "It was just a brownie. I mean, for God's sake, it's not about the dessert." Eventually, I just excused myself and went home. After that conversation, I think I've made up my mind to go low contact with my mom. It's going to be incredibly hard, more than I can even explain. I've always said yes and put my family first, but with my own little family on the way, I don't want to bring these problems into everything. My fiance has been really supportive and said he's with me no matter what I decide. To answer some of the comments, my fiance and I don't live with my parents. We have our own apartment and are working on building our first house. As for how I'm pregnant with my fiance, the pregnancy wasn't planned, but we decided to go through with it, and we're hoping to be the best parents we can be. Relevant comments. Commenter, you might want to ask your dad why he brought you mom. Tell him you thought you were going to have a one-on-one with him about what he said, and having your mom there ended up being unproductive. If you don't want to talk to him, send him a note and see what he says. Your mom is clearly a lost cause, and you have your own baby and partner to prioritize. Commenter, sometimes people don't perceive how demanding they've been until the victim cuts off all contact and stays away for some time, months, if not years. Your mother will be overwhelmed by having to parent her younger kids. She will be angry, but the situation is her own fault. Keep saying no, go LC or NC, and focus instead on your fiance and your pregnancy. Commenter, your mother will be overwhelmed by having to parent her younger kids. She will be angry, but the situation is her own fault. This is 100% why the OP needs to block her mom now. That woman knows she only has a tiny window of opportunity to browbeat the OP back into submission and exploit her before the OP delivers and realizes she should put her own family first. Once OP's holding her baby and thinking, "I want you to come first," the mom's chances to keep milking OP for favors go way down. Story 2, F25. My boyfriend, M22, made a very disturbing comment on our walk the other day, and I can't stop thinking about it. What do I do? BF and I have been together going on 7 months. We have our ups and downs, but nothing usually too crazy, especially this specific topic, as my BF blew up on his mom recently for him being an ignored victim of CSA by her parenting choices, etc. But anyways, we were discussing BC/caveman days as we were on a walk, and my BF was complaining about sitting on a dirty bench. Had maybe some cobwebs on it, and I jokingly stated, "Well, back in the caveman days, we'd be lucky to sit on a rock." And in turn, he said, "Actually, that's not what would happen back in the caveman days." And I was like? He continued by saying, "Back in the caveman days, I'd beat you over the head with a stick, drown you in a lake till you're unconscious, and then I'd breed you." And I felt so shocked he would say something so disgusting, considering he hates PPL who SA anyone. I told him that was one of the weirdest things anyone ever told me, and we got into an argument a bit, and his defense was, "I wouldn't do that now, but logically back then, Like what? I don't know how to get over this, or discuss it in a way that makes him understand. Logic doesn't override comfort. Having the ability to do something doesn't mean you need to discomfort someone by saying it. IDK, how to feel this? Update. Short summary, boyfriend made a disturbing, out-of-nowhere comment on our walk. Back in the caveman days, I'd beat you over the head with a stick, drown you in a lake till you're unconscious, and then I'd breed you. Update. I didn't go into detail originally about our sex life in either post I've made on this sub. Long story short, our sex life is dead. Either he allows me to do oral on him or barely tries with sex. When we do have sex, painfully infrequent for our ages, he gives up halfway through and lets me finish him off. TMI, I know. The problem is, this has left me extremely sexually frustrated on top of all the issues in our relationship to begin with. It especially bothers me because I've never dealt with that before, and it's not a situation of being attractive. I am a conventionally attractive woman. He's admitted to watching porn, yet barely ever has sex with me. Nonetheless, he still makes odd comments, jokes about raping me. I addressed the response I got on Reddit to him. All he told me is, I'm on the internet too much, and need to stop reading too deeply into things. So I addressed other issues such as our relationship, the abuse, the lack of sex, communication, and romance. He snapped when he started going on about the sex part. Instead of attempting to fix it, he suggested we break up, which really always means he doesn't care to talk about it, because when he says that, he never leaves my house. So when he suggested we break up, I snapped, saying it's incredible I was getting more intimacy from an ex who was almost double his age. Immature of me, I know. But he went violent and slapped me 3 times, hard, directly on my right side of my face. I defended myself, which resulted in him launching me off the bed, standing above me, fists ready, when my mom barged in the room. We are breaking up, but right now he's sleeping still here with all his stuff, his bed included. I don't know what else to say. I guess I'll see what happens when he wakes up. Relevant comments. Commenter, while he is sleeping, you should report him to the police for assaulting you. Commenter, this. It kinda sounds like he was just waiting for the chance to physically abuse OP. Commenter, you're underreacting. You were just assaulted. Call the police. Make a report. Have him arrested and get a restraining order. Why do people on the internet care more about you than you care for yourself? Think about that. Story 3. Are my parents being overboard regarding boyfriend's manners? Me and my boyfriend have been dating for 1 year. I think he is an amazing, smart, kind, and respectful person. I can tell he cares a lot about me and loves me a lot, and personally I feel that he takes great care of me, is a gentleman, and is always kind and patient with me, even when we argue. However, there have been a couple instances, specifically in front of my family, where in their eyes he displayed some bad manners. I'll go ahead and list them. When we visited my grandparents in Europe, he was carrying flowers to give to my grandma as a thank for you having us. And I guess in the moment, he forget to come back to the car and help my dad and uncle with the suitcases. And my dad called him entitled and disrespectful for that, saying he doesn't feel like he has to help, when, honestly, it was a genuine mistake, because he was focused on surprising my grandma with flowers. He just forgot, because when we were in a different country beforehand, he carried everything, leaving me with just a backpack and travel suitcase, and he would carry the heavy suitcases. However, I brought up this situation to him, and he let me know that will never happen again, and that he truly apologizes for this happening. When he came over my house for the second time, he's only ever been to my house twice because of distance, we were sitting in my living room, and he was sitting on this huge, round chair couch thing, where it's very wide, and you can extend your legs on it, and he did that, but his feet were leaning against the side of the table, and me and him were talking, and I didn't realize it because we were also watching TV, and my mom comes into the living room and sees it, and obviously asks him to get his feet off. My mom later tells me she thinks he has no manners and is entitled. However, my boyfriend immediately apologized to her and felt so horrible. He later told me how bad he felt about the whole situation and genuinely did not mean to do that and didn't even realize in the moment he was doing that. He apologized endlessly to me for that because he didn't want to embarrass me, and he let me know that would never happen again because he is not an ill-mannered person. Okay, this one's kind of embarrassing to mention, but when we were visiting his family in Europe, I was with my mom to say hi, and he was sitting at the hotel desk, and I was on the bed. He accidentally let out a loud fart, and my mom heard that. When I came home to her, she said that was extremely inappropriate, and again, he has no manners. Meanwhile, the second he farted, he turned around and whispered, I am so sorry. I did not mean to do that. I thought it would be a quiet one. When the call ended, he apologized 1,000,000 times. He felt so bad because my mom heard that, and he had a bit of an upset stomach, so I understand he was gassy, but he did not realize it would be a loud one. LMAO, I mean, he's human. Is this seriously the end of the world, though? It's not like he farts every second around my family or something. That would be concerning. Last one. When he came over my house both times after eating dinner, if there was anything left over, he would ask if anyone was going to eat it, and we all said no. So he would finish what's left, and in my mom's eyes, he was eating too much and being inconsiderate, even though it's a compliment to my mom's cooking. I brought this up to him, and he again felt bad. He didn't realize it was a huge problem. He said that my mom's cooking was just really good and he enjoyed it a lot and didn't mean to come off inconsiderate. He told me next time he comes over, he will be more mindful. So the question is, are my parents being extremely overboard by saying he has no manners and is disrespectful? From all 4 of the situations I mentioned, we talked about it after. He apologized and understood what he did wrong and promised to never do it again. And since then has not done any of it, even with just me. Although these situations happened, he is genuinely a respectful and well-mannered person. He always carries everything for me, doesn't let me open a single door, surprises me randomly with flowers. We had extra untouched food from a restaurant when we went to NYC, and instead of keeping it, he gave it to a homeless person so they can eat. Whenever he came over my apartment back in college, he never put his feet on the table. He just had a slip-up at my house. To be fair, the way the chair he sat in was designed, you'd understand why his feet touched the table. There's been plenty of times when I fought my mom and he was sitting in the back, and he never once farted. I could go on with this list. In short, he is a good man and respectful man who's had a few slip-ups, but he's recognized them and will learn from them to never do it again. Let me know what y'all think. I would gladly appreciate it. Relevant comments. Commenter, bruh. Nothing what he did is actually disrespectful. Your family seems like they want to hate him and just seeking for chances to call him things. OP, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, damn, is this really all that bad? Commenter, it's actually insane to me that your family even noticed these things or thinks they are disrespectful at all. He sounds like a really nice young man. I personally would ditch the family, not him, LOL, but I am very far from an upright person, and your family would probably hate me anyways. Commenter, afterward we spoke about it, and he understood what he did wrong. I felt so bad for him reading that. As a parent, I wouldn't find anything he did wrong. I get genuine concerns. But letting out a loud fart, and not even in their home, lounging, and not being at their beck and call for their luggage? Commenter, please stop bringing these things up to your boyfriend. You say they're small things and he is a good guy, yet every time your parents bring up his rudeness, you immediately turn to him and make him feel bad by mentioning them. Your parents are terrible. Stop passing on the terrible. ETA, I should be clear, I mean, don't bring these up to your boyfriend as something to fix, or that he did wrong. Feel free to tell him how judgmental and rude they are for mentioning these trivial things, but the way you're talking here sounds like you're just parroting what they say. Commenter, your family sounds like judgmental a-holes. The only person who should be concerned about his lack of manners is the person dating him. I kind of feel like no guy would be good enough in their eyes unless it was someone they handpicked for you. Your parents sound like snobs. You know what else is considered bad manners? Pointing out someone else's social faux pas. Thank you for sticking around until the end. If you liked our videos, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to keep up with our latest content. Have a wonderful day.